Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. AITA for not forgiving my husband, 26 male, for a mistake and not trusting him with our child. 6 months ago, I, 24 female, gave birth to my daughter, which should have been the best time of my life. My daughter's complexion was quite dark when she was born, and it seemed that she had two biological parents of African descent. My husband, Jim, 26-year-old male, was outraged and accused me of infidelity, and he left immediately away. He informed everyone on both sides of the family what had transpired, made social media postings, and demanded a divorce. His family and several of our friends all contacted to express their displeasure with me and to call me derogatory things. My mother remained at my side the whole time, and I maintained my innocence. Jim refused to pick me up from the hospital, dumped my belongings on the lawn, and changed the locks, forcing me to remain with my parents. When my sister contacted to inquire about the baby items, Jim emailed me images of the naked nursery area and said that he had gotten rid of everything. He also demolished my art studio, where I used to paint, and the artwork I created, telling me that my work was too bad to sell. I was upset and trying to concentrate on my kid. Jim has refused to talk to me directly for weeks and has never once inquired about our kid. He eventually consented to a paternity test, and he was shown to be the father. No one believed the findings, and it was done again, this time by Jim's father. Roughly the same time, one of Jim's cousins completed the heritage test, and the family had around 30% African ancestry. This, paired with the test, led Jim's paternal great-grandmother to confess to having an affair around the time Jim's grandpa was born, and since he passed, she thought her husband was the father. Jim has been reaching out since then, and everyone has come to apologize, and although it felt nice to be vindicated, the harm has been done. I can't unhear or unsee all of the heinous things that were said or done, not just to myself but also to my kid. Jim made some blatantly racist statements, things I thought he'd never say, and he did it so effortlessly. I don't want our kid to be around it, regardless of her appearance. What will Jim and his family say or do the next time they are enraged? How will they handle our kid if she does anything that irritates them? Jim has been pleading with God for forgiveness. I told him I needed time, and he requested to see the baby, which I allowed him do since I'm too frightened to physically give her over to him. He's fixing the nursery and constantly asking me what I want, and every time I weep since we already had what I wanted, and some of the goods we had couldn't be replaced. He asked whether I still loved him, and I told him that he had shown me his darkest side, and I wasn't sure if I could live with that picture. I didn't want to offend, but that's how I feel. Couples therapy was proposed by my sister, but I don't think I should have to struggle to repair something that I didn't damage. I've never cheated and have been completely honest throughout this whole process. AITA for not giving Jim a second chance. Update 1. I took a break for a few hours and couldn't believe what I saw when I returned. I am very astounded by all of the beautiful words of encouragement, as well as the private communications. I understand why some people may assume this is a hoax, and all I can say is that you are allowed to believe anything you want about it. I also noticed some questions, and I believe I should explain a few points in case your opinion changes. All of this occurred in early February, and I was fully ensconced at my parents' home when the pandemic struck. One of the reasons Jim wouldn't pick me up from the hospital was because I wouldn't confess to cheating or give him any specifics, which irritated him even more. According to the photos Jim supplied me, he didn't demolish the crib or anything. He merely pulled things down to either return them for money or give them away. While very upsetting, I wouldn't call it violent, but it might be. He stated online that I had pushed forth a dark-skinned kid and that he was divorcing me. His relatives began making racist remarks, and finally he did too, but only via my family. He refused to talk to me directly. When the truth was revealed, all of his and his family's postings were removed, but I and a few pals still have the screenshots. Jim never recorded his racist comment. While he did not use any racial language, he did make remarks about our kid being a welfare princess and how I was just another baby mommy. Just to be clear, Jim is white and I'm half white. With all that's transpired, one of my parents decided to do the ancestry thing as well, and we should be receiving the findings any day now. Update 2. The moderator refused a separate post, so it's here as an edit. First, my adoptive mom conducted the Heritage/23 test, and it turned out that Jim wasn't the only one with African ancestry. My mom had at least 45%, thus I have at least 20%. I am officially separated from my spouse, and I am living with my parents till further notice. He still apologizes and wants me to return to the home. He even offered to leave so I could remain with our kid, but I refuse since I value my parents' support. Because my father is retired, he does a lot of the babysitting while my mother and I work from home. I do go to Jim's place on occasion so he may visit his daughter and for couples counseling over the phone. Jim disclosed something really unpleasant at one of the sessions, and some of you guessed correctly, he cheated. It was during our dating period before he proposed, and his behavior towards me was a projection. It was with an ex-girlfriend who had cheated on him, and he slept with her to enhance his ego. He began to feel bad, but he was too afraid of losing me to ever confess. Jim also revealed that he was worried when I became pregnant, our kid wasn't planned, and that he was nervous about being a parent, but appeared to be delighted because he didn't want to seem like my spouse was so eager to think that our kid wasn't his that he believed he had an escape. Jim regrets everything now that he knows our kid is his and has spent time with her. He just wants his family back and is ready to spend the rest of his life making it up to us. This was all really upsetting, and I sobbed many times as a result. Jim has been deceiving me, and my faith in him has not improved. When the holidays rolled along, Jim's parents inquired about visiting their grandson, and I declined. They told me that keeping her away was selfish of me, and I reminded them of their history. They claimed to have previously apologized and attempted to downplay the problem. They told me that I couldn't stay angry indefinitely and that I needed to learn to forgive them. I'm embarrassed of ever loving and marrying into this family, and I'm baffled as to why I didn't notice this sooner. I've chosen to consult with an attorney and will file for divorce after my daughter's first birthday. Story 2. Ada for telling my sister that it was stupid of her to think everything would work out after reaching out to her bio dad. I, 25 years old, have an elder sister, Julie, 27 years old, who is the result of my mother's affair. My father didn't find out until after I was born, and he nearly abandoned my mother as a result. I'm not sure of the specifics, but there was an agreement to never mention the affair again. My sister resembled my father sufficiently that no one could tell the difference. But in this day and age, you can't keep such a secret. My sister and cousin did the ancestry thing, unbeknownst to my parents, and that's how the secret got out. My sister was taken aback at first and, predictably, wanted to see her biological father. My parents were obviously upset, and they battled about it for a long until my maternal aunt provided Julie the guy's contact information. She first sought out for medical information, but ended up developing a friendship with the man. My sister exposed her secret connection with him and said that he will be at her wedding a month before the ceremony. I'm not sure what Julie was expecting, but my father was dissatisfied, did not attend the wedding, and filed for divorce the next day. My father last communicated to Julie in a letter in which he said that she has every right to know her father just as much as he has every right not to want to meet the guy with whom his wife cheated on him, and so would not. It's not for anybody or any cause. There were no more phone calls, visits, gifts, or holiday family time after that. My father just pretended Julie didn't exist, and our mother still blames her for wrecking all of her hard work in attempting to repair her marriage. I'm not saying any of this is fair to Julie, and I constantly defend her when our mother gets irritated, but I don't think my father is the evil person in this situation. Julie has just given birth and is heartbroken at the prospect of her child Ren never meeting the man who reared her. She began contacting me in an attempt to reestablish contact with my father, but I told her that if she wasn't prepared to remove her father out of her life, she should simply accept that this is the way things would be. Julie began yelling again about how unfair everything was, and I accepted that but also told her that it was a ridiculous concept to believe she could bring her biological father around and expect things to end nicely. I wasn't trying to be harsh, just stating the obvious, and now she's upset with me. Ada,